All right. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. It is your brew. That's me, Bon Shemayim, back with another one. In today's video, as we talked about last time, we would go into where we talked about where they were saying we need to get over slavery. A lot of people been saying we need to get over slavery. This is from 6 years ago, but I'm just showing that there's nothing new under the sun. You're gonna see multiple videos from different times speaking on this. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This video is says Rush Limbaugh, Michelle Obama should get over slavery. The young is by the Young Turks. All right, let's get it.
What am I doing wrong? I'm putting my blood, sweat, and
Rush Limbaugh is also frustrated with Michelle Obama's references to slavery in her speech at the DNC, although he has a slightly different angle on it than Bill O'Reilly. So let's listen.
No matter when or what the occasion, they can't stop talking about slavery. And largely in a context of, hey, you know what? It isn't settled yet. Hey, you know what? We haven't fixed it yet. I mean, that's their starting point. And I think that's a no-win situation for us because we've made great strides. This country has made phenomenal strides since then. Imagine that your wife has an affair, but you and your wife get together and you decide that you're going to forgive her. You're going to look past it for the sake of the marriage and your kids, and you move forward. He said, okay. Now imagine, sir, every argument you have, you continue to remind her that she's to blame for everything because she's the one that had the affair. I said, your relationship doesn't have a prayer if you can't let it go. If all you can do is continue to remind her what you've already forgiven her for, then the days of your relationship are over. And the grievance industry they don't want solutions. They want to be able to do just that, no matter what progress, no matter what agreements, no matter what. They don't want to acknowledge that anything has been done. And that's how I hear the Obamas.
So can I just say that?
All right, first off, I'm gonna end that right there, and then we gonna discuss this Rush Limbaugh guy and what he just said. So he compared slavery to a relationship with that had infidelity in it. And so he's saying, imagine you had a relationship and you were cheated on. Your wife slept with somebody, or your husband slept with somebody, and you told them they forgive them. You forgive them, but then every second, every other day, you keep bringing up how they cheated. Let me explain how horrible of a way. First off, a person cheating, he mentioned it happened once. Like the person cheated once. First off, the Bible says that if your woman lie down with another man, it is a curse to take her back. So if she cheat on you, it's over. According to the Bible, it should be over. If not, you're going to go through a cursed life, according to the Bible, dealing with her because you accepted her back after the cheating. Right? Man could have multiple wives. That was a little different. There was punishments, but woman, it was the marriage was over if she was to do anything like that. So now when I say men had multiple wives, I'm not saying that men were able to just go sleep with anybody they want to. Men had multiple wives so they could get married to multiple women. That was what the case is. But he compared it to a marriage that a person cheated in the marriage. There was some infidelity in the marriage. The person only cheated once. Slavery lasted for hundreds of years. After slavery, there was the Jim Crow's laws, which they're trying to reinstate in some areas. And then the police prejudice, and the police became the new slave masters, where they would lock you up for almost nothing and get you to work for free labor, right? So slavery never really, it just changed. It's not as gruesome as it was before, but it never went away. Like your wife not cheating again, she's not cheating. She only cheated once and she's not cheating no longer after that. You can't compare that to slavery. Like he's like, but they just keep bringing it up. No, the fact that you're arguing about how bad it is in slavery means you lack compassion and you're probably a racist. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. You lack compassion, first off, and you're probably a racist. You're most likely a racist. Now I can say that because racist people, especially the ones who don't consider themselves racist but are, racist people can't stand to have compassion towards the other people's plight or situation. I would love to see Rush Limbaugh be poor for a day. I mean, not for a day, for the rest of his life. No offense, I don't wish bad on nobody, but I would like to see this dude, Rush Limbaugh, work at McDonald's and try to survive for the rest of his life. His dad's uneducated. He was uneducated. The person before him was uneducated. I would like to see him make the best out of that movement. Because if he did say, well, we've been poor for generations, this is just so hard and so unfair. Because the moment something starts going against them, it's so wrong. It's so unfair. It's so wrong. It's so unfair. But look at this. He gonna compare people bringing up slavery. It's not over. The people keep bringing it up because we're so many years away from detached from slavery. Yet we just played these videos on my last video. Body camera footage release a black man arrested while taking out trash. These are all new videos too. Florida man accused all within the last 2 years, right? Florida man accused of attacking black teen and his friend, damaging car. They put a gun on the teens. They broke the windshield and damaged the guy's car because they said he was riding down the street fast, which don't make sense. How did you stop him then? It says police share body cam after an officer shot a black man possibly holding a vape pen. They killed him. He was sitting in a 20-year-old black kid sitting in his room with a vape pen. They walked in there and shot him and killed him, thinking he had a gun. Rapper allegedly lynched by white supremacists. Body left dismembered after being reported to cops. You see, if this stuff wasn't happening, there would be no reason to constantly keep bringing it up. Rush Limbaugh don't know what it's like to have to drive down the street and hope he don't get pulled over. And every time he do get pulled over, he know exactly what he get pulled over for. I bet you Rush Limbaugh get put over, he probably like, you know I work for the government. You know I work for the government. I think you should just let me go. Why did you pull me over anyways, officer? When 90% of us, when we get put over, we know. Oh, it's because I'm black. He flicked me because I'm black. Because why do we know that? Because it's happened so many times where you're literally doing nothing wrong and the cops are following you for 10 to 15 minutes, waiting to flick you. When the cops is in a whole nother lane or something, just so happens to look through your window at you and then slows down, gets behind you and flicks you. Like, these are literally circumstances I'm naming where you did not do nothing wrong, where you are parked in a corner store and the cop pulls up behind you and say he's doing the traffic stop and you weren't even driving. All right? This happens a lot. So the reason why people won't get over slavery is because y'all ain't fixed the racial divide or the racial discrimination that we suffer in this country yet. We still suffer it. It hasn't been fixed. So you gave us a couple rights. The only reason to be honest, a lot of people believe the only reason you gave rights is so that y'all could win elections. Because y'all have black people voting for horrible presidents like Joe Biden. Let's be honest. Let's keep it $1.50. Joe Biden is probably the worst president ever in American history. It's hard to be worse than Bush. It's hard to be worse than Bush. He's worse than Bush. He's worse than Bush. Let's get it. Next video.
Just keep it flying.
Keep it flying.
This video says these white people think slavery wasn't so bad. It's by the Young Turks again. Let's get it.
And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people.
Oh, wait. So we can't talk about slavery. But Tucker Carlson can talk about the greatest Christian quote going back to the time of slavery. So this guy could bring up the Confederate flag going back to the time of slavery and say, why should we give up our heritage? So y'all don't have to give up our heritage. But we should give up ours? Y'all already stole our heritage. We should give up the heritage we know about? Like, you literally have stole our identity, stole our history, stole everything from us. And then now you're saying, well, you can't even talk about the history that you know about. Because you're doing that. You're just race baiting. That whole race baiting thing, that is a word that they are using because they don't want to accept responsibility for what's going on in the current structure of the world. The race baiting is an excuse to not accept responsibility. Let's get.
People would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery.
Yeah, but maybe he really, really likes slavery.
And they might have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. You know, they're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment. But thank you for the interview.
He said, I have no comment. He said, are you pro-slavery or against slavery? He said, I have no comment. Thank you for the interview. So I want to hear we don't need to talk about slavery no more. Matter of fact, if most of y'all Europeans and Gentiles and different people who are saying that took more time to educate yourself and the rest of the other Gentiles about what we suffered, us and the Native Americans and the Latinos and Hispanics, what we suffered on this side of the world, the natives on this side of the world, and those of us who were brought over on slave ships. If you spent enough time discussing that with people, maybe you wouldn't have so many ignorance of your people who keep telling us we shouldn't talk about slavery or what happened to us as if it's not still happening. Let's keep it going.
I'll give you one more chance. Pro or anti-slavery?
No comment.
I'll give you one.
That's clear that he wants slavery. It's clear that he wants slavery. If you are asked, are you pro-slavery or anti-slavery? And you say, I have no comment. Are you for slavery or against it? I have no comment. You obviously want slavery. Because it wouldn't be hard to say, I'm against slavery. That wouldn't be a hard thing to say. Let's keep it going. He's against him going to slavery. I bet you he wouldn't like that shirt took off of him and him working in the field, dying of skin cancer and getting whipped. He wouldn't like that. Let's keep it going.
One more opportunity to say if you're pro or anti-slavery.
No comment.
All right, well, there you have it. No comment on the if you're in favor of slavery or not.
Some people might watch that video and find it shocking. I watch that video and I think it's just another day in America.
Yeah, I hear you. So, people who wear the Confederate flag or flag are all saying, heritage. What part of the heritage? See, that guy just made it clear. At least he's honest. He's like, yeah, the slavery part of the heritage. That's the part I liked, where my loser ass felt like I was above someone.
They still had better lives here than they did back in Africa.
As slaves, they had better lives here.
And there are some that would argue that. You can look that up. Their descendants, the descendants of those slaves, have much better lives here than the descendants of people who would have never gotten on those slave boats in Africa. And that's a provable fact, because we have given them all those freedoms.
I don't know how you do it. It's a provable.
He said that's provable facts because we have given them all those freedoms. I was just talked about it. I'm gonna probably do a video later on this. I was just talked about this with a cousin. It was a black American girl who was raised out here in America, She's been known as American. She comes to find out that she is from lineage of royal lineage in Africa. She is a princess. She goes back to Africa and becomes a princess. That totally contradicts. And this is not a fairy tale. This is a real life story. I'm gonna end up doing a video. I gotta get more information on it. But that totally contradicts what this guy said. You ruined people's lives. Let's tell the truth about history. Without us coming over here on ships and y'all coming to this new world with the natives, white people would have died. Let's be honest. Y'all would have starved to death. We never talk about the economic crisis Europe had put themselves in before slavery in the 1500s because they were eating all their food. They fished out all the fishes from the ponds. They hunted down all the animals in the land. So you went and kidnapped these people who knew how to continually grow food, who knew how to eat and take care of their lives, so that they could work for free labor to feed yourselves, to feed Europe, to feed America, the white people that moved to America in Europe. Let's keep going.
Can't do that. And of course, there's an African-American guy behind him the whole time, who I kept looking at during the interview to see if he was going to react at all, but he was too busy selling his Trump shirts.
We understand the curse that was slavery, white people do, and we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in.
Yes. And you hear what he said? The blessing of slavery that built up the framework that white people live in. Let's keep it going.
White people live in and lived in. And so a lot of people call this white privilege, and when you say those two words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people, because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that you and I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is the trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart.
Sure.
Let's get down to what then do you want to call it. And I think maybe a great thing for me is to call it white blessing.
I just wish the people at home they can't see producer Brett behind the scenes. We can see him. I wish there.
So we're not gonna call it white privilege. Let's just say it's a white blessing. It comes from God, you guys. It comes from God. It's a white blessing. These people, listen, they are sick. They are sick. And it be these people who are so-called educated who are literally the most sick.
There's a recording of that somewhere. Just him watching this video, is just making him very uncomfortable. Brett did not like this video.
My favorite reaction.
Okay, I'm ending it right there. That's all I had to hear from that. It's no longer white privilege, you guys. It's the white blessing. It's the white blessing. Now let's listen to DC Young Fly. I know they're gonna copyright me because it is. Vlad always copyright me, man. See, it's Judean. He said in Egypt. Oh man, look, I'm not a fan of DJ Vlad. That dude is really a clown. He either misinformed about history or he literally just go with the status quo. And he's a leech. Why don't you? You're so proud of being Jewish and an immigrant. Why don't you just go to the Jewish music scene? I don't even know who's in the Jewish music scene. What is the Jewish music scene like? Why don't you go and interview them? The Jewish comedy scene. Why don't you leave black people to black people, DJ Vlad? How about that? I'm not saying I don't know, he could be a cool dude. I just don't trust that, man. Anytime people like that talk and you see how he was getting offended by some of the stuff he was saying, and dude was just speaking true. And you know he was getting offended because he got defensive. He was getting, well, that didn't have anything to do with us or me. Get out of here, DJ Vlad. You perpetuating the same madness right now. Half the people you talk to would be on bull crap. I don't never, where are your videos with the people who literally uplifting and changing their communities and society? Let's get it.
And your master and your missus.
Been slaves all our lives, and mother was a slave, and sisters were slaves.
Oh, I didn't go into this video. I was so disturbed by that video. It's called The Real History of Slavery, Southern Negro, The Rumors. Now, my microphone is running out, so that could be like I saw it breaking up in one of the videos. It could be breaking up because of that. But let's get it.
Slave. Father was a slave.
They treat me nice as they could treat me. And if I want anything, I'll ask for it. I was taught it that way by my old master.
These are the voices of former slaves, victims of one of America's greatest crimes against humanity. Listening to them speak and hearing their lamentations does a different level of justice than history books ever could. John Henry Folk was a storyteller and radio show host who in 1941 started doing interviews with former slaves in a project to bring awareness to racism. One former slave he interviewed was Fountain Hughes. Little did Folk realize this interview would be one of his most important.
My name is Fountain Hughes. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia. My grandfather belonged to Thomas Jefferson. My grandfather was 115 years old when he died. And now I am 101 years old.
So, okay. Because you notice, this is what I wanted to... A lot of Europeans and other people are still living to 90s and 100s. Why is most of our people no longer living that long? What did they do to us? Like, what is going on, y'all? If y'all know in the chat, let me know. What is going on? You see that? Look at that. So what is going on, y'all? How was his granddad live to 115 in the midst of slavery? And he lived to 100, I think he said he was 103 when he was talking. And he lasted to after slavery. And then now we dying at 50 and 60, 70, 80 if we lucky. Come on, y'all. Let's get it.
Although many slaves were kidnapped or abducted, Hughes was different. He was born of slaves, as was his father. He didn't know any other life.
It's what they call, we were slaves. We belonged to people. They sell us like they sell horses and cows.
At the Real, luxury is Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada. Luxury is scoring something amazing.
Hogs and all like that have an auction bench, and they put you up on the bench and bid on you, the same as you're bidding on cattle, you know.
The auction bench was an infamous place among slaves. Here, people would learn not only who their future masters would be, but exactly what price a person could put on another person.
Sell the women, sell the men, all that. And then if they had any bad ones, they'd sell them to the nigger traders, what they call the nigger traders, and they'd ship them down south and sell them down south.
After leaving the auction, they would be at the whims of their new masters. Of course, when someone is considered to be a piece of property rather than a person, little is done to make them comfortable. Deplorable living conditions, tattered and worn-out clothes, and sometimes a bare minimum of food were all that slaves were given.
Colored people didn't have no beds when they were slaves. They all slept on the floor, pallet here, pallet there. Just like a lot of wild people. We didn't know nothing. We didn't like to look at no book.
Often, the slaves were only dressed in what they showed up in, made mostly of rag and cloth. The lucky ones may have had a pair of shoes or some denim.
So I never wore no shoes until I was 12 or 13 years old. And now people put on shoes on babies, you know, when they're month old. I don't know. Put shoes on babies, just as soon as you see them out in the street, they got shoes on.
Not much attention was given to the slave's diet. More times than not, they would only have things like soups or stews made from the scraps of the master's dinner.
Wooden tray, dug out, you know, all about that long. And all of them, you know, would get around that tray with spoons and just eat. Sit you like mush or soup or something like that. And all them children get around there and just eat.
Slaves had no weekends, no holidays, no days off. Each day was filled with nothing but work and meeting the needs of the masters.
Night never comes out. You have nothing to do. Time to cut tobacco. If they want you to cut all night long out in the field, you cut. And if they want you to hang all night long, you hang tobacco. It didn't matter about your tired, being tired, you're afraid to say you're tired.
It wasn't a sense of duty that compelled the slaves, nor was it a love for their owners. A cloud of dread hovered over them, as the smallest infraction could mean a painful punishment, usually in the form of beatings. Former slave Laura Smalley described what she saw one day when another slave woman earned a whipping after her master's mistress tried to slap her and she fought back, pushing her into a chair.
But the thing that old woman, poor old woman, cat in the peach orchard and whipped her. And, just tied her hand this way, around the peach orchard tree. I remember that just as well, looked like to me, I can't, and round the tree and whipped her. And well, she couldn't do nothing but just kick her feet, just kick her feet. But it just had her clothes off down to her waist, Just didn't have her plumb naked, but they had her clothes down to her waist. And every now and then they'd whip her, and then snuff the pipe out on her, She'd snuff the pipe out on her. The embers in the pipe. Where you ever see the pipe smoking.
Blow them out on her?
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Even though slavery was a practice in which evil was free to roam, there were still some owners who aspired to be better.
So they would whip her and then blow the ashes out on her back,
treating the slaves with more dignity and decorum. Having a master who would speak with kindness, show courtesy, and treat them as humans was among the most coveted things any slave could ask for.
They treat me nice as they could treat me. And they all treat me nice. All the white folks that know me, they treat me nice. And if I want anything, I'll ask for it. I was taught it that way by my old master. Don't steal, don't lie. And if you want anything, ask for it. Be honest in what you get. That's what I was raised up with.
Even though the masters would preach honesty, they were still not very trusting. Simply going out, even on the orders of the master, required a number of steps.
Now I couldn't go from here.
So she said they treated her nicely. And people will bring this up. She was a slave. She probably saw that other people got treated worse than her. You can't that's deplorable to say that, see, people got treated nice during slavery because other people were treated worse than them. No, that's still bad. You know what was treated nice? The man's children in that picture. I bet you she wouldn't treat it like them. I bet you they didn't have a whole list of things they needed to have permission to go to do something for their dad or for themselves. Freedom is what they didn't have. She didn't have no freedom, because a person is nice and you're in captivity don't mean you're free, and that the person is still not doing something evil or injustice or providing some type of injustice to you.
Across the street, well, I couldn't go to nobody's house without I have a note or something from my master. And if I had that pass, that was what we call a pass. If I had that pass, I could go wherever he sent me, and I'd have to be back. Whoever he sent me to, they'd give me another pass, and I'd bring that back, so it's to show how long I'd been gone.
I like welding because if you do a good job and you work hard at it, it's very rewarding, and the money isn't.
With the passage of the Emancipation Proclamation, the slaves were free, but only by degree. They weren't truly as free as they thought. Union soldiers, who slaves once thought of as liberators, would sometimes pass through and not give a second thought to the people they helped to free.
I remember when the Yankees come along and took all the good horses and took all the meat and flour and sugar and stuff out in the river and let it go down the river. And they know the people wouldn't have nothing to live on, but they done that. And if you was cooking anything, eating that for yourselves, and if they was hungry, they'd go and eat it all up, and wouldn't get nothing.
See, that's exactly how they do now. We could get everything we want. Y'all could eat off the crumbs. It should be good enough for y'all. He said that they remember during the Civil War, people, the Edomites, the white army would come into their town, eat up all their food, drink up all their water, all their grain, everything like that, and then just leave. And where these people wouldn't even have enough to survive.
Just come in and drink up all the milk. Just do as you please.
Slavers across the South were incredibly hesitant to change after the order, not only because they were losing the labor they paid for, they were losing an entire heritage. Not taking too well to the new proclamation by President Lincoln, the slavers actively withheld the life-changing information from their slaves, sometimes to the point that slaves would end up working on the plantations for up to 6 more months.
And old master didn't tell you.
And that's light, because there's people who was working on the plantation for years, not 6 months. Let's keep it going.
Free.
He didn't tell you that?
No, he didn't tell. They wait till, I think now they said they wait them 6 months out of that. 6 months.
Without guidance, though, many of the slaves found their newfound freedom less glamorous than they had thought. With not a dollar to their names, very few possessions, and little to no education, they found themselves alone. Sadly, millions of newly released slaves, unable to make a living, ended up becoming emaciated, even dying as a result of starvation.
And after we got free, we didn't know nothing to do. And my mother, she hunted places and bound us out for $1 a month. We didn't have no property, we didn't have no home, we had nowhere, nothing, we didn't have nothing on it, just like your cattle, we just turned out and get along the best you could. Colored people is free, they ought to be awful thankful. And some of them are sorry they are free now. Some of them now would rather be slaves.
Although freedom had been granted, they realized that it came with a heavy price tag. Even though slavery meant hard work and beatings, it also meant having food and shelter.
Mom and them didn't know where to go. You see, after freedom broke, just like you turn something out, didn't know where to go. That's just where they stayed. Didn't know where to go. Turn us out just like, you turn out cattle. I say, didn't know where to go.
The slave's freedom was met with mixed emotions. Fountain Hughes was asked about how he felt about his freedom and whether or not he would rather have been a slave again. His answer was haunting.
You know what I'd rather do? If I had any idea that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog.
This period was one of the darkest times in the history of the United States.
He said he would take a gun and end it right away because you ain't nothing but a dog anyway. So for these people who say that slavery ain't that bad or wasn't that bad or we need to get over it, we still dealing with the after effects of slavery and the Jim Crow law to this day. They say we're creating the racial divide. We grew up under the racial divide. You just mad because we're pointing it out now. The table's turning. Your kingdom is coming to the end, and the rise of Christ's kingdom, or Yeshua Mashiach's kingdom, is coming to a head. So it's over. Enjoy it while you can. Here go another video from Undisputable by Dr. Rashad.
This is very difficult to watch. A child who was neglected by a teacher wets himself, has to explain himself while this happens. Here it is.
You were, and I get he was upset, and I get it. We couldn't get him to calm down, and that's why we had to put him in here and kind of confine him to one spot.
Lock me down.
Because you were hurting yourself.
Lock me down. No, that was Ben when he put me in that room. He told me to lock me down. I'm always trying to make people out there stuff.
His forehead and the door, but he didn't like that.
Nah, you was holding me and put me up.
I didn't know you
I'll tell y'all let me use the bathroom. Wait before y'all say, I'm gonna let you use the bathroom when your mom comes.
That was within the last 3 or 4 minutes.
No, it wasn't. I told you.
You never mentioned anything about the bathroom till.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Y'all been saying that. You know what I'm saying?
I want to get the whole story from him, but I know right now, I don't think he's in the state of mind to kind of give us the full thing of what's going on.
And then y'all were trying to stop him too. And they just let him go through.
And the thing is, Messiah, we're not like, our concern right now is the way, how upset you are and the way you're acting to try to come at the other young man. I get you're upset. I get he did wrong. I 100% understand that. Because you were hurting yourself, babe. You were hurting yourself, Messiah. And we were worried you were going to hurt someone else trying to get away from them.
There's more video. Here it is.
So we want to resolve it.
I went to the office when the one lady told me to.
And I know you did, but then you wouldn't stop and come in my office. I came in here, I asked you to go in my office, and you went right back out. And you were going down the hall, and even when we said...
Before I even did that.
So what the lunch lady tell you to go to the office for?
Because she told me when we were fighting, when he was fighting me, she told me to go to the office.
Okay, hadn't I ever told y'all would not be a statistic? Okay. Somebody do something to you, let them know. They don't handle it, you know I will, okay? You already know I don't play. I don't care about nobody.
No, I told you.
Okay, like I said, Miss Brown ain't got to handle it. You find a way to get to the office. You got to pretend like you sick. You come to the office and you call me. I will come to the school and handle the situation myself. If not, I got a lawyer that can come and handle the situation for both of us, okay? Don't try to take matters in your own hand, because like I said, you're already a statistic because of the color of what we are, okay? Stop showing them with your true color. Every action don't need a reaction. You got that? Where's book bag and stuff at?
It's in the room. Let me call for someone to bring it up. No, get some from Brown. I can walk down there and get it book bag.
Another story, man. The little 10-year-old, I believe, he got attacked. He was getting attacked, and he was trying to defend himself, or was, I guess, going back at the other boy to try to defend himself. And he got in trouble. They isolated him and not the person who attacked him. Held him in that room and made him pee on himself. And from what he was saying in the video, they were grabbing him, putting his hands behind his back, everything like that. But they didn't do it to the other boy who attacked him. See, and people want to talk about get over it. It's still happening. Here go one more story. Let's get it.
Imagine a principal throws a party, and this is what you see. Put it up full mass. Insanity is what it is. Keep this up. Look at this. Indisputable received a photo from a Halloween party posted to Snapchat by an elementary school principal in Hannibal, Missouri. In it, the effigy of a lynched doll hangs, painted with a black face. The photo was posted to Snapchat by Eugene Field principal Kelsey Whitley. Someone complained, said, and I quote, "This was posted on my kid's school principal's Snapchat page." Exclamation point. Let's put it up, the principal. Eugene Field Elementary School principal, that's Miss Whitley. There she is.
Should look easy.
The photo spread virally in Hannibal, which recently suffered an incident of racial violence. A drunk white man was killed outside a Hannibal bar after he called several people the N-word and attacked black customers on October 9th. Hannibal residents report racism is rampant in the town. An acquaintance of the principal leaked a screenshot of a conversation with the principal directly to Indisputable. Let's put it up. Here's what Whitley said privately. To the post about the baby, I did that. I used poor judgment on Snapchat. Madam, you think the only expression of poor judgment was the fact that you posted it or the fact that you did it? The fact that you published it or the fact that it was in your heart to do so? The Hannibal School Board shared a statement with Indisputable as well. The statement goes, After 6-day administrative leave, the school board allowed Whitley to return, saying, and I quote, "The Board of Education met with Whitley in executive session of a special board meeting. During that meeting, a social media post and its interpretation were discussed. After a thorough discussion with Mrs. Whitley, the consensus of the board was to allow Mrs. Whitley to return to her duties as principal of Eugene Field Elementary on a probationary status. I need her probation to be revoked." You have to think about the liability that you're taking here. I'm talking to the board now.
And that's it. That's it for that video. As you see, principal, not just a teacher, a principal. A blackface Lynch doll at a Halloween party and put it on Snapchat without any remorse or any care. And then the only thing she had to say back was, that was poor taste for me to put it on Snapchat. Not that it was poor taste for me to do it in general. I don't know what I was thinking, or it was poor taste for me to put it on Snapchat. At least she's showing that she don't really care and she don't have no fault. And then the school board comes behind it. A principal who teaches black kids, mind you, there are black kids in that school. It gets no trouble. No trouble. Could you imagine if a kid would have put a picture of that lady hanging from a noose or with a knife in her back, or that kid would have got expelled? Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We're going to get into this. This is the last video. We're going to listen to this brother a little bit, and then I'm going to read the scripture. I know I made this one long too. Thank y'all for bearing with me through this.
Argument that floats around here that black people need to get over slavery. That's bullshit. First of all, motherfuckers ain't getting over 9/11. Motherfuckers ain't getting over goddamn the Pearl Harbor attack. 4th of July coming around. Motherfuckers ain't got over what the British did. When some bitches couldn't go to the mall and get their hair cut and get a mani-pedi and shit, and they were going to the Space House with the AR-15s and shit. They were calling them goddamn policemen redcoats. That's a reference to the Revolutionary War. That's a reference to the British troops. So they must not got over that shit. Motherfuckers down here where I live ain't got over losing the Civil War. That's why they still flying the goddamn Confederate battle flag where I live. But you want to tell us to get over slavery? Shit, we ain't got over Jim Crow yet. Fuck you mean?
Exactly.
My mama was born in the 40s. She was not born a free woman. My mama, my mother was not born free. I ain't telling you about no goddamn ancestors that I don't know shit about. My mother was not born free because she was born in Mississippi under Jim Crow. What the fuck are you talking about? Get over slavery. She was a second-class citizen. She went to underfunded, fucked up ass schools. And my mama has a master's degree. So don't play with it. Don't play with it. My mom was a great student. But the schools that she went to as a child were fucked up. Why? Because of racial discrimination. So don't tell us get over no motherfucking slavery. First of all, how could you get over such an evil thing like that anyway? But then to say that and disregard that Jim Crow went on for 100 years after that, to disregard that when Brown v. Board of Education was ruled on in 1954, that shit was not enforced immediately. In most of the South, that shit wasn't really even enforced until the 1970s. And shit, you can say it's still segregated to a great extent because these motherfuckers didn't put up these academies to run away from black people. Racism is expensive. Motherfuckers rather go pay tuition than to be around black people. You talk about Civil Rights Act of 1964. That questions still surrounding that. Whether or not that even, who did that help? For black people to be able to go wherever they wanted to go. That study after study shows that hurt black businesses. Because now the black dollar, whereas somebody was forced to spend the black dollar in the black neighborhood, now you're able to go to these other places where people might not still like you, but hell, by law they gotta accept your dollar.
Not only did it shut down black businesses, it ruined black neighborhoods in general. They started buying up black neighborhoods, tearing down the houses, and black people eventually started going into project buildings. There was no project buildings at first. We had houses in neighborhoods. Poor houses, poor neighborhoods, but we did have houses in neighborhoods.
Then you look at the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Shit, that's under attack. That's under attack. You got this goddamn voter ID law. This bullshit. Like motherfuckers trying to commit voter fraud. You can't even get motherfuckers to go vote.
Well, I will say the Democrats do be committing voter fraud like a mug, man. Hey. I think Republicans might start doing it next. Like, we don't know. So, I went to this to search up some results, right? So this is something recently. Exxon didn't protect workers after nooses plural, were found, suit claims, right? Milford McGee, a black man who had worked at a family at the facility since 2010, reported the fourth noose which was hanging at his work site. The EEOC said in this suit, right? Then we got another one. A black electrician found a noose hanging in his workplace. Police in New York suburb Long Island are investigating a report of a noose a noose found hanging in the storeroom in a local business. A Suffolk County police spokesman said. So I just wanted to go into that to show that, bro, it ain't stopped for us to just get over something that we still going through. Let's hit these scriptures up. So we're going to go through Matthew 24. We're going to start at 21. It says, "For this shall be great tribulation." Right. For then shall be great tribulation, right? So this is Matthew 24. We're starting at 21. "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." Right? "And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh." It says, "There should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake," the elect, right? "Those days shall be shortened." And we're going to wrap it up. We didn't have very many Bible verses. We're going to wrap it up with Revelations, right? And we're going to start. Let's start at Revelations 11:1. "And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not." Right? "For it is given unto the Gentiles." So the angels is measuring. And it's like, and all the other people, don't measure them, because that's for the Gentiles, right? In the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Right? The holy city is Israel, the 12 tribes. And I will give power unto my two witnesses. Excuse me. And to the two witnesses. The two witnesses is Judea. So I've heard people say this on the video. Why do y'all say Hebrew Israelites? That's nowhere in the Bible. Because those are the two witnesses. The Hebrews, which were the darker tribes, the Judean tribes, the southern tribes, and then the northern tribes, which were the Israelites. That's why it's said, not because it's listed in the Bible as Hebrew Israelite. They're both listed to talk about separate individual people. One Hebrew, meaning the Judean tribe, and the other one was Israel, meaning the other 10. These are the two witnesses, right? It says, and I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Excuse me. It says, these are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of earth. And if any man will hurt them, right? So these are the two olive trees, the two branches. Remember, it says that if you were broken off of a olive tree that was contrary, this is in Romans, contrary to nature, right? And grafted in. If you were broken off of an olive tree contrary to the nature, the natural olive tree, and were grafted in with it, right? So it says these are the two olive trees. These are the two tribes. It's not talking about individual people. These are the two different tribes. And the two candlesticks standeth before God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, see, so all the punishment and stuff we've been watching in these videos, punishment coming, right? Fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut up heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. Remember, this happened in the Bible. Wasn't it Elias or Elijah set up the shut up the rain, shut up the sky from raining by praying, right? And have power over the waters to turn them to blood and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And that's coming. Once we come together and get into the wilderness, all of this is coming, right? And when they shall have finished their testimony, right? The testimony is what they minister, what they talking about, what happened in their lives, what we witnessed throughout our duration of this life, right? And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit should make war against them, right? And shall overcome them and kill them, right? And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? A fall, hence misfortune, ruin. See, when it says their dead bodies, it's not speaking of death as we know it. It's speaking of destroyed people. Like the Bible says, if it says how much more their fullness, right? But if God comes back to Israel, it'll be like getting life from the dead coming back to life again. That's what it's talking about. We're spiritually, the spiritual deadness, right? And their dead body shall lie in the street of that great city. So in America, all throughout America, you can see our people dead, just walking around, listening to foolish music, watching foolish stuff, right? Which is spiritually called Sodom, because of the gayness and horrible homosexuality and stuff like that in Egypt, because of the slavery, because of the bondage, right? Where also our Lord was crucified, right? And they of the people in kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, right? And they of the people. So all the people in the world gonna be seeing what's, since we've been in America, before we were in America, they've watched our dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves, right? To have a memorial or a sculpture like that, like they say they don't want. Why y'all talking about slavery? We shouldn't talk about slavery. Just get over it, right? And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, which is what happened to us. The stock market was created out of it, right? And make merry and shall send gifts to one another. A gift, a present, a sacrifice to one another. Because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. See, we ran the earth at one time when we were under God. We ran the earth. So they created a stock market, started trading goods and celebrating the success of the world after the fall of our people. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God, and this is what's going to happen to us in the wilderness, the spirit of life from God entered them, and they stood up upon their feet. And great fear fell upon them which saw them, right? So, this is how I'm going to end this scripture. Hopefully it didn't mess up. My headphones were saying like they needed to be recharged. Hopefully y'all like this video. Like, I can't believe that it's even black people, like it's even our own people are out here saying, just get over slavery. And you know what? I've realized there are fortunate ones of us who've never been discriminated against. I've learned that out. I didn't know that was even possible the way I grew up, but I found out moving to Houston that it is possible. People out here, literally, some of them have never experienced any racial discrimination, or they might have and they couldn't even recognize it because they haven't experienced it enough to recognize it. And I pray for them people because those are our brothers and sisters. And if you've never experienced it and you think you're free and have all these rights, you don't know how to react when somebody's stripping away the freedoms that you thought you had. You see what the mom was telling the little boy in the classroom? Like, you know you shouldn't have did nothing. So his mom pretty much told him, let the kid hit you, let him hurt you, let him do whatever. You go tell me, I'll come up here and handle it. And it's sad that the little boy got to go to a white school and then got to get treated that way, because if he act up, he'll be the bad black kid. If he defend himself, he'll be the bad black kid. The teacher was like, he's emotional and we can't get the story right out of him. Where's the other little kid who was harming him? You should have this story. Who was the adult that was in the class watching what was happening? Sad. So on that note, I'm going to end the video. This is extra long. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, because I know it's probably going to be the Sabbath when y'all watching this. And I just want to say, Thawada, thank you for watching. Kala Haya by Shimon Shaya. Wait, I forgot my slogan. Kala Haya by Shimon Shaya, which is all praises to the Most High in the name of His Son. If you liked the video or you didn't, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, join the squad, join the family, because we're a family over here. And let's talk about this. Let's comment. If y'all been discriminated against or know things about it, or what do you think is going to happen going forward with this discrimination? Do you think we will get reparations? Do you think we know God's going to punish them at the end? But what do you think is going to happen leading up to that time? Because the Bible does say we would leave out of this country with great substance. So what do you think? How do you think we're going to receive that great substance before we leave? On that note, I just want to say, like I say, Thawada, Shabbat Shalom, because like I said, it's probably the Sabbath when people are watching this, and Barakatah. Blessings to everybody, Barakatah, right? And on that note, I just want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Thawada, and peace. Peace out, y'all. Barakatah.